Everything good?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Alrighty.
sir.
Okay, so let's take a look what we have this week. So let me share my screen. Just a second. Alrighty. So in terms of chapter from the textbook, we have a chapter 2. So there's a part of module 1. Module 1 includes chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1 was pretty much introduction of the information systems, why information systems are important, and strategic advantage of the information systems. Now this book goes on to discuss business processes. Okay, I think it's pretty important chapter 2 because we're trying to try to show how information systems are actually related to business process, business activities. Okay, so in that regard, I think it's pretty important. However, I think this is more like a common sense. That's what's happening in all of the place. Place you work and the society we are in. Just pretty much processes, activities are uh, related to information systems. So not the information system itself actually do the work, but the business process will do the actual work. Right? So information systems are kind of tool, kind of a platform to those processes. So, so let me go on to few other important items in this chapter. Okay, let's see. Somebody's trying to get in. Admit. So you're in. All right, again, back to business processes. So business processes are pretty much activities, right? So it's you see all those activities in any organization, right? Basically, this organization trying to transform the input. So input can be, whatever you see these days, data, materials, labor, all those input, but trying to transform input into output. So that's something we talk about in chapter 1, what information system would do. So convert input, output. So output can be all kinds of different forms, as you can imagine, product, services, even decision making, or whatever results from your decision making. But those output must have a value, right? So that's something we focus pretty much in other classes in business, management, marketing, finances, value added product, value added services, right? So that's pretty much aligned to same strategic advantage. So business process, again, those activities that uh, organization converts input into output. However, those output must carry value added. So that's the business processes. So if you look at information systems and in the real world, and you see I think there's so much examples out there. You capture those input and you use it, you convert it reuse it, recycle it. So that's what information system will do, right? In terms of working with business processes. Let's see. Now they show BPNM, which is business process model and notation. Matter of fact, I have a tool to show it. So hang on just a second. Need to share different screen this time. There you go. So this is one of the tools I use often in other classes because I'm teaching like a database systems and uh, e-commerce and microcomputer application. Especially database, we use ER diagram quite often. And this is what they call lucid chart. And there are quite a few number of websites available so that you can use those charts for free. But I think they are now very few. So most of those websites are charging. This is the same thing, lucid chart, beginning to charge. So first few pages or charts or a number of documents are free, but afterwards you have to pay for. But this is pretty good site because it offers you all kinds of different diagram tool. Okay, and you can create Gantt chart, for example, for your project. You can create, of course, ER diagram for database. You can create a what else we have it UML, which is another tool, visual tool to create your system structure and individual component of the system. So this is a pretty good example of it. Actually, let me open this one up. Let me just share. Let me just share whole thing. There you go. So this is a BPMM, which is business process diagram. And this is just template, okay? So you can, what I get is I get from here, they have all those templates. So I chose one of those, then opens up. So this is template. So you have the task, different tasks. And from the client side, then you have company, and another company, so that you can collaborate. And in terms of what kind of items, object you can use over on the left-hand side, so you can use all different shapes to represent, for example, event, and then you can insert the text, can insert other object, as well as the symbols for particular task, transaction, event, activity, all kinds of different shape that you can insert. And then you can come up with this idea. So there's so many, actually, shapes are sometimes it's hard to apply, hard to choose which one you apply. So you need some practice. to come up with a good diagram. So this is one of the example. I think the book trying to show it in a kind of condensed form, but this is, I think, a more popular tools or platform that you can use for business processes. Okay. All right. All right. So let me go back to PowerPoint. Right. So that's what I mean by a diagram that shows those models and notation. And that's this time they're using a fast food restaurant. So the object or domain, that would be cashier, that would be order tracker. It's more like a system. Then you have presenter that actually hand out food to you, and food runner, assuming you need help other than presenter. So what each of those will go through, so and they show you the step by step. So what are the processes end up paying here? Then it's going to connect, all those information will go through database, record, update. Then in terms of the food itself will be provided from presenter because the orders are placed and going through the system and then process over this side of the processes. Then the food will hand out to the customer. So it's kind of summarize how this business process would work. So there are different ways to show it, but I think this is the kind of easy to identify rather than using a little bit more complicated uh, diagram that we have seen before. So again, depending on what kind of, what type of symbols, what kind of notation you want to use, it can be pretty large number of symbols you can use. So let's move on. So we talk about the business definition of business processes, and then why we need to standardize business processes. Okay. Then what is information? We already talked about information systems and the components. We talk about that. Well, depending on who's going to define information systems, some people say 5 components. Other people say maybe more than 5, including networking or telecommunication, because those are the very important platform that we need to have. And you can include, of course, telecommunication into hardware, but telecommunication is such a unique, uh, set of component these days. So we can add as a separate components. So then again, showing up that same diagram. And those processes may require not only one system, but require 2 or multiple systems. One is laptop information systems based on the laptop, and the other one is order tracking information systems that has a link to, so that each system will taking care of different activities. So that's what they're trying to explain. Then it comes up with structured and dynamic business processes. Structured are more predictable or repeated, just like we do every day, right? And the sequence of steps are pretty clear and very little variation, right? And you have rules are very explicit because it happens every day almost. And so those structured processes are pretty much amendable so that uh, you can have automation. Okay. Just like, for example, payroll processing, just pretty much typical every 2 weeks, every month. And at the end of year, then process another payroll, kind of summary of those payroll for the year. And, those companies like ADP, I think the latest one they use is Gusto, kind of payroll processing companies. So that's what they do every 2 weeks for your company, for example. Then dynamic processes, unlike structured processes, kind of uncertain or semi-uncertain. I think we can say like not entirely uncertain, but kind of semi-uncertain because steps are not clear and the decision making you have to make is not clear cut because you may have to use some context specific. So depending on what kind of context you are pursuing, your decision can be different. So that's why they call it dynamic processes. For example, you're going to hire new employees or you're going to move your plants or your offices to different locations. That's pretty difficult situation, right? It's more like making kind of uncertain decision making. So that's almost same idea here. Dynamic processes require those kind of human judgment, which is pretty sometimes pretty hard to make. So that's why they put it into different categories, whether it is structured or dynamic business processes. So why this distinction between structured and dynamic processes? So why it matter to separate or make sure we understand two different? Because when you're not, I think some companies will be struggle. Okay, companies will struggle, especially when they're trying to attempt uh, some some of those systems are rigid into onto some of those activities are fluid, so that there's no fit between a system and activities, so it can be failed. For example, I think you have some examples like that when you call your, for example, credit card, uh, representative in credit card call center or whatever product you need product services. Then they answer your call. Then they just read whatever script they have, which is pretty much standardized, right? But your request or your question may not be really standard, right? This may need some special attention. So in that regard, they kind of fail to satisfy your need because of difference between their system and the work that they need to they try to satisfy. So in that regard, structured process and dynamic processes are pretty unique and should be understood very well for those companies. And then so these are the examples that explain different types of business process, structured and dynamic, and talks about information and data. So what is information? And it didn't specifically say about data itself, but I believe understanding information data is also important because when you talk about information, then information is more processed compared to data. Right? Data is more of unorganized, raw data. That's what we're talking about, simple numbers. But information is whether processed in terms of organized, summarized, compared, using whatever the data you have. Right? So that's typical understanding of data and information, which is not difficult to understand, but I think most of the information what we are talking about is very personal, depending on who you're asking, right? So whatever you have information may not be really information to others. It may be simple data, right? Because that's difference between individuals education, individuals perception, individuals history, background. So I think that's what makes information different. Even though you have exactly same data set, then some people will just toss off because you don't need it. Other people, take it very seriously because it's very important to them to process, to summarize, and to compare. So that's make a big difference between data and information. So other than that, I think it's pretty much straightforward because he's trying to explain and show what are the examples of information. So other than that, actually, I think those are some important concepts that I think is from chapter 2. So let me go back. All right. So any questions or any comments? Anything like other than this chapter 2?
Hi, Dr. Park.
Hey, yeah.
Eric Anderson. Yeah, so I've been working on the assignment that's due to I think it's due tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
As I understand it from the instructions, the only document that is to be submitted is the Word document with the link
Mm-hmm.
to the folder. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what we're saving into the folders is just the chats that we're having with the bots.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So make sure you have that. All folders are created in Voodoo Box, right? So
Yes.
yeah. Exactly. All right. Anybody else? Questions?
I don't think so. Thank you so very much.
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay then. See you next
Thank
time. Okay.
you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.